Hello, Austin, Texas. I'm Alex Jones. Again, I want to thank my crew for being here this evening. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to watch the program. I know a lot of you out there have been so dumbed down. I don't mean to be insulting here that you'll say now that I'm a white supremacist because I play tapes of atrocities and show it side by side with Hillary Clinton. No, I'm against these things. History is a roadmap to the future. We got a really big show tonight. We're going to be talking about what's coming up the 25th of this month. That's next Wednesday down at the DPS office. I have the Federal Register here for you. I have the Federal Register, July 2nd, 1997, Volume 62, number 127, notices, pages 35887 through 35892 from Federal Register, online via GPO access, wais.access.gpo.gov. I'm going to read to you how President Clinton wants the urine and blood test, all of you, to get a driver's license, or 25% randomly selected. That's one out of four that walk in, and everyone 18 and under. And he also was the one that gave us the thumb scanning here in Texas. So again, we'll get into the Federal Register tonight. Facts, information that is undeniable of what this maniac, what this agent of corruption wants to do. I'll also keep you abreast of what's happening down at the Commissioner's Court. I'm very angry that I went down there today and was nice to Elshire. Not my first speech. I didn't talk to Elshire in my first speech. And later I talked about the helicopter base for Starflight they say they're building. It's probably going to be alongside the Travis County Command Center, and they're going to have a bunch of other facilities. And they're planning to buy some helicopters for the Sheriff's Department. Go alongside of this. Why weren't they just honest and tell the taxpayers that it was for the Sheriff's Department and not Starflight? We'll get into this some tonight. I didn't hear about it, but now we have some clips off a radio station here in town. We're going to play just a very short one. Coming up in about an hour or so, we got a bunch of other clips of other stuff, where they say that 3 to 5 people go down to the Commissioner's Court every week. At one meeting, at the first meeting, we had about 15, 20 people there, and only 8 or 9 of them spoke. Most weeks we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 speakers. I don't know, what's the average, about 6 or 7? I think there's only like 5 today. People coming down there on Tuesday morning. I've probably gotten over 1,000 phone calls against this. I get stopped in grocery stores. People are against the ASAP program, the Absent Student Assistance Program, where they send out constables to elementary school kids' homes the first time they miss. And more than that, it's an unconstitutional law. The Fifth Federal Circuit Court has found it unconstitutional. It violates the state education code that says that a truancy is 6 to 10 consecutive absences, and it violates family law. And basically, a radio station here in town, first of all, said that I was lying about the SWAT team being there the first time we went down. I'm sick of talking about this, but it never goes away. By the way, I did have a meeting with the SWAT team today. They wanted to talk to me, so I talked to them. And I'll talk about Lieutenant Beck when I talked to him today, the commander of the 16-man SWAT team, 14-man team, 2 commanders. Talk about that today. I got some inside information for you. It's open information, but I went down there and got it from, well, actually, they called me over there, so I went over there. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how Elshire gets on the radio and spouts his lies and says that we're trying to disrupt the meeting. We're going down there because we're tired of laying down. You go down there during citizens communication when you're supposed to, Tuesdays, and more of you should get off your butts and go down there and find some issue that you dislike and go down there and get involved in your government. If you're part of a republic, if you're part of a democracy, you need to get down there. Get off your butts. I'm sick and tired of it. I'll talk about antibiotics, how the third world eats them like candy. They're sold on the shelf in the third world, and on the shelf here as ointments, how they're creating super-resistant bugs. The Scientific American, March 1998. So we'll get to that in a little while. Very scary information that you'll definitely want to stay tuned for. I'll also read from Popular Mechanics, Greatest Secrets of the Cold War, Declassified. This is some information that you will definitely want to check into. I just want to say something to my producer. When people call you on the telephone and want to have conversations with you, I know that the callers do that. Do me a favor. I know you got a lot to focus on, and Andy's not here tonight, so it's just you. Tell him you're busy. Callers, he's busy. He can't have an hour-long conversation with you. As you can tell, I'm really getting sick of this garbage. I'm sick of the use of polls. We'll talk about popular mechanics. Jeff had this on his show last night. This is very, very devastating information in here. It really shows you what's going on. It's a whitewash, but still, just that they would admit this on page 69 of the April 1998 issue. I'll get into this more later, but just to read some quick. In 1966, the Pentagon ordered the U.S. Army to launch a similar biological attack on the New York City subway system. Details of this experiment remain classified. And then if you're down up here, they talk about declassified. This is the whitewashed declassified records. The Pentagon attempted to estimate how cities might be damaged by such an attack by ordering the U.S. Navy to spray a cloud of supposedly harmless bacteria over San Francisco. Historians say local health records show an upsurge in cases of ammonia-like illness after the 1950 experiment. They also claim that one death was caused by the attack. This is the whitewash. Now, all these supposed declassified documents, whenever you look at them, half the pages are blacked out. Or sometimes entire pages have been dipped in ink. Literally, it's a piece of black paper dipped in ink, or it's a copy dipped in ink, so you can't even see the pressure marks and see what was written there. Then the Congress will put this out and say, oh, see, we've done an investigation, like the Warren report with Kennedy, like CIA hearings that were going on yesterday in Washington. You could see them on C-SPAN. They had the Inspector General of the CIA up there just lying his butt off. It is disgusting. I have got documented, and last week I had it for you, news stories where they got caught bringing 22 tons of cocaine, the CIA did, into Miami, and the Justice Department closed the case and sealed it. 22 tons in 1996. Jerry Levitt, top, highest decorated ever DEA agent in the late 70s, early 80s in Central America, said that he saw the CIA selling drugs, and I have and heard him bragging about it, and I read that to you last week. You're probably asking, what's the point of caring? You can't fight City Hall. The polls say Americans don't care. A lot of people aren't involved in this. They're all going to the football games. That's a sheep-like mentality. I always say a sheep-like mentality. What is a sheep-like mentality? You don't think for yourself. You don't have an inner compass. You don't believe in yourself enough to go out and stand up for things you believe in because you're cowards, a lot of you. And I used to be a coward too, I guess, and I'm still a coward. Do you think I want to go down to the DPS office Wednesday? Now, nobody's going to get arrested. If anybody does, it's going to be me. They'll go after the leader of this deal. I tell you, I am really distraught about this, and I'm very unhappy that they've been thumb scanning us since '93, and Clinton wants to get rid of blood tests. So that's coming up in a little while, and I'll read actually off the Federal Register for you what he wants to do. Just to give you a quick, and I'll read a lot more later, summary. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, announces the availability of federal funds to support the planning effort necessary to demonstrate and evaluate the effectiveness of pre-driver's license drug testing. And it talks about President Clinton in his weekly radio address to the nation on October 19, 1996, urged stronger measures to reduce the incidence of drug use by teens and reduce drivers under the influence of drugs in general. That same day, the President asked the Director of the National Drug Control Policy and Secretary of Transportation to present recommendations to him within 90 days that would meet the two goals. The President's directive specifically requested that the recommendations consider testing for minors applying for driver's license. Now, this is directly off the Federal Register. You read his executive order, he commands it of the states if they want their highway funds, and I'll get to that in a second. The bureaucrats in your country, most of them by and large, are a bunch of people that have rationalized what they're doing. They have a mommy-daddy complex, and we're their children. Look at what Hillary writes in her books. I mean, we are their children. We don't know how to wipe our noses. We don't know how to use the bathroom without their help. And now they want to take blood. Let me read that. In addition, here's where they're talking about why it's a good idea. They talk about how evil drugs are up here. We know drugs aren't good if they're abused. We know that. We know that's true. We know there's a lot of drug abuse in this country, and it's a cause of a lot of crime. We know the CIA is bringing this crap in. That's the Hegelian principle. Create a crisis, create fear, then offer a solution. There's more slavery than before. In addition, these broad federal programs, drug testing programs, also are conducted in other contexts. There's precedent for this, such as for state, local, and private employees, high school professional athletes, and individuals who have been incarcerated in prison or who are on parole. If states were to develop drug testing programs for young people prior to their obtaining a driver's license, states should be sensitive to their obtaining a driver's license. States should be sensitive to upholding constitutional standards under the Fourth Amendment. And then later they tell you how to get past the Fourth Amendment deal here. Reasonable search. Reasonable search. This is a search. Sticking a needle in your arm. Listen to this. This is how they twist the Constitution. Reasonable search in the procurement of the individual's blood, breath, urine, or other specimen. That is that's like saying that's just twisting things, my friends. Reasonable search. You're talking about a policeman searching your car if he sees a gun sticking out or something. Thought we had a Second Amendment. Oh, but it's illegal to have a gun without a government license. Oh, Hitler did that. Oh, I'm sorry, I got the Second Amendment. No, it's out the window. But still, reasonable search. Reasonable search in the procurement of the individual's blood, breath, urine, or other specimen. May want a piece of your brain. I don't know. They don't really say. Again, this is from the Federal Register, July 2nd, 1997, volume 62, number 127, pages 35887 through 35892. Hey, I know this isn't very exciting out there. God, you can tune to the X-Files and see aliens coming out people's noses. You can see flying saucers and government people, but it's all mixed together, isn't it? And it's just all that weird stuff. Here's the Federal Register. Not the desensitized bull where they're trying to shock therapy you into where you accept anything out there. Now, I'll read more of this later and talk about how the banks in Europe and now here are actually putting in electronic scanners, the same lucid systems and things, and morpho systems that are being put into the states. Tell you who runs the country, who runs the world, criminal finance. They're the ones that are putting this crap in. They're the ones pushing for it in the government. Again, that's next week. Next week, the 25th. Wednesday, be down there at the driver's license office on North Lamar at the DPS. Bring snapshot cameras, bring video cameras, bring signs if you just want to pick it out on the street. I'm going in and I'm simply on camera and on tape going to let everybody see that you can't get a driver's license without thumb scanning. It's been going on since '93 for everybody. You can renew one time by mail, but then every 6 years you have to go in and thumb scan now. And they say it's for crime and all this. How about you punish the criminals? How about when somebody does something wrong, you punish them? Oh, no, you let them out usually, don't you? And you'll highly publicize some death penalty case to make us think we're being tough on crime, but then you'll let out 1,000 murders a month here in Texas. See, it's all staged deals. These people are masters of this. And again, your mainstream, popular mechanics, greatest secrets of the Cold War declassified, April 1998. First page, I tell you, it was just back during the Cold War, you know. We let out biological weapons in San Francisco, resulted in deaths, historians say. And in 1996, the Pentagon ordered the U.S. Army to launch a similar biological attack on the New York City subway system. Details of this experiment remain classified. I brought you the MKUltra documents from the 1979 Senate report when this was whitewashed, declassified, when they released thousands of pages of blacked out stuff that just had a few headlines. You know, testing in humans with biologicals. The rest is all blacked out. Oh, the Green Run. This is where December 2nd, 1949, a plant released 3 tons of irradiated uranium fuel that had been allowed to cool only 16 days. Oh, isn't that nice? And you wonder why cancer has gone up so much, and now it's just lowering again. Because all this, they did it on purpose, it says, because the Soviets were doing it, testing on their people. Our scientists got jealous, and they talked our government into that. There's just many more stories in here. Oh, it talks about underground bases. Oh, yeah. Just really, really interesting. Here in Popular Mechanics, and this is whitewash compared to the declassified whitewash. So see, it kind of rolls downhill. There's a government whitewash, and then you got this that's even worse than that whitewash. And so you kind of read it and say, oh, it was the Russians, oh, it was the threat, the old Hegelian principle. Now, before we go to your phone calls, and the number is 477-2288. And if I get my producer to do something, my comment line, we'll put that up too, 343-8513, but I forgot to dump the messages down. We'll put up this other comment line, if you can come in and get this, Mr. Hammond. It's the bottom number on this page right here. Thanks. How's it going in there? Pretty good?
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
370.
Yeah, that's the comment line. And we'll put that up because I want 50 people to call the comment line tonight just on the driver's license deal. And in a few minutes, I'll tell you about the April 15th, real April Fool's Day that we're going to have, me and Jeff Davis and others, down at the main post office, standing up against the IRS where there's no innocent until proven guilty, no due process. But again, an axe murderer gets due process, but you don't because you're a middle-class good person. You won't revolt. You're not a criminal. They can abuse the hell out of you, and they'll recruit most of these criminals because they like them. You want to talk about desensitization. I went and got my hair cut today. And the lady goes, what do you think about Miss Willie and Clinton? You know, now he's been supposedly grabbing women when they come in begging for jobs, like a real punk. You know, it's a power thing with Clinton. I want to say a few things about Bill Clinton. Do you remember how he had gray hair one day? And the next, brown hair one day, and the next day he had gray hair? Like that? They decided he needed to look a little older. And his hair is still gray. Everything about this guy is fake. He grays his hair back in late 1991, right before the 92 election. I'm really getting angry here. And the guy lies to you, and they use weird polls to get him elected to create this so-called gender gap. And he sexually harasses women, engages in every type of behavior you can imagine, and then sits up there like he's against it. But all that aside, this guy talks about 91, how he's going to stand up against George Bush because George Bush is trading with China. George Bush actually threatened sanctions and things. He actually had some slight sanctions on China. Clinton, he literally, I've used this example before. If President Bush was having a little kiss, here's the analogy. President Bush was kissing the Chinese on the cheek, kind of like fifth graders smooching. Bill Clinton is having triple X group orgy sex with the Chinese. Okay? That's the analogy. George Bush, which I don't like, George Bush connected to shipping in massive amounts of cocaine when he was director of the CIA, kept the lines open. I've seen the documentation of him meeting with Manuel Noriega. The whole Panama invasion deal was about Noriega not, giving the Federal Reserve and Bush the cut. Understand this. But quit buying into Clinton's semantics and the media's packaging of him. Clinton has been involved in Arkansas, one of the biggest fly-in zones for cocaine for the Central Intelligence Agency, well documented in the Mina cover-up and other documentaries with his own brother on there on FBI tapes that were never released, but then people got them and played them, of him saying, yeah, my brother wants more coke. He's got a nose like a vacuum cleaner. And Clinton connected to all these people, Lassiter and others that were known coke runners. But let me get back to Clinton. He's a complete, total hypocrite, and you just buy everything he does, and it just makes me sick. Clinton denied sexual advance. White House releases letters in attempt to discredit aid after televised account. Let me tell you something. And there's the number to call right there, comment line. I've got another comment line, but mine's full. There's the number to call. Call that comment line. We'll get back in touch with you to set up, to come down if you want to protest the thumb scanning. Get off your butt, break the paradigm, break the apathy, break their dogma, come down and protest. Now back to Clinton. Clinton denies sexual advance. I believe the Monica Lewinsky was staged. I really do. This is a conspiracy theory. I don't usually get into theories. Only because the approval rating went up, the media talked about it a bunch at first, then reversed it stuff. Everybody's loving him. Look at the polls. She didn't tattle on him. She stood by his side. It's like a soap soap opera. People want that. People feel real bad about themselves. And your average Americans watch a lot of the daytime talk shows, and that's what they like. They like to see someone. It's kind of like in degenerate European cities. People would love to see people, made fun of, putting stocks, throwing cabbage at people at the theater. They like to. It's very medieval and get more the public school. As we get more like that, we need to see this big guy Clinton being lampooned a little. It makes us feel big. It makes us feel strong. I don't care if you had your mind ruined. Actually, I do. But if you want to have your mind ruined, that's fine. But just understand you're a mindless jellyfish and get out of politics and don't respond to these polls and just go to Russia or be a slave here. I don't care. Okay? Let them take, 100% of the tax that they take from you and give you 30% back and say they're doing a good job for you. Let them manipulate the polls. Let them do push polls. Let them herd you around and condition you to parrot BS. Just let them do it, please. Thank you, Buckley. That comment line's been up quite long enough. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and go to some phone calls. I've got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. Oh, hey, Dr. Spock is dead. Since the 40s, he's been telling us how to raise our kids. And I agree with him. You shouldn't beat a 5-year-old kid with a broomstick. My sister, I think, has gotten one spanking when she walked out in the street the second time my mother told her not to. I've told this story many times, and guess what? She didn't walk out in the street anymore. My mother told her probably 20 times over the months and months when she was like 4 years old or 3 years old not to go on the street. And my sister wasn't thinking about out in the street, and her little mind wasn't intellectual enough to understand my mother giving her timeouts and telling her not to. She walked out in the street. My mother spanked her. I remember because I was driving up as it happened. And I use the example of the mother fur seal I saw on Discovery Channel or was PBS many years ago. The fur seal keeps hopping over to the hole in the ice where killer whales breathe. And the mother comes over and nudges its baby away with its nose. The evil right-wing seal that likes to abuse its children. No, a mammal like us. And the baby hops off and kind of barks and gripes. You know how babies are. Kids are actually, a lot of times, pretty greedy and self-serving because their minds haven't developed yet. They're not these holy creatures. They're human beings, just like us. Children are, like Dr. Spock says. And the next time it hopped over, the mother went over and spatted it with its flipper. And I wish it would play again, and I would record it and show it to you here. And then the baby hops away again. Next time, baby goes back over to the hole in the ice where killer whales come up and eat seals, and mama goes over and bites it right on the hindquarter, and blood was running out. Now, I'm not saying you should do that. But the seal with the baby, its instincts hadn't kicked in yet. The mother couldn't reason with it by nudging it sweetly and then spatting it. And they had to bite its baby. Now, what's worse, mama biting baby or killer whale eating baby? Okay. Look at the crime rate explode. And I think Dr. Spock is one of the people that single-handedly did it. I'm sorry he's dead. It says here that he sold most books ever except for the Bible. He changed our whole society. First, he was against the Vietnam War, which might not have been too bad, and other things, and he got the intellectuals to all love him. And then he got them on his side, and then he pushed this deal, don't spank your kids. And hey, man, do you think I like some punk drunk coming in and beating their kids? Hell no. If I saw that, I'd probably have to go over there and, get a little argument or fight with that person. I'm not talking about somebody abusing their children. But if you I've trained dogs, okay? My parents have dogs, and when I live with them, I've had dogs in the past. I never had to beat the hell out of those dogs. If the dog keeps running out the street, you put a training collar on the dog, and you give it a little jerk. And believe me, that doesn't feel good. That was one dog, a hunting dog. Now, other dogs, mutts and things that are better behaved, you can train them with one piece of paper. You could train them with this. That. That's not going to hurt a dog to its fur when it's up till about 6 months old. But if you hadn't trained it by the time it's 6 months old with a piece of paper, that dog's going to be uncontrollable. You could beat it with a 2x4 and it's not going to mind you. That's how you train children. You do not abuse them. But if they walk out in the street, you go and you get them the third time they've done it, and you say, no, no, no. And they realize, and they don't, and it's not perfect, but you don't want your kid to run over, just like the mother seal went and bit and that's instincts. I'm not going to hear it anymore. Chimpanzees spank their young. I'm not going to put up with it anymore. We are mammals. I'm not going to put up with this garbage. Crime rates have exploded since Dr. Spock, the second best-selling author in history, except for the Bible, which is many authors, according to the statesman here. And everybody's got Dr. Spock in their home. Ruin more children. Nobody ever trains the kid. They go out, and the police don't put up with it. So instead, they get their arm broken because they were being a punk, and they get put in the prison because nobody taught them discipline. I remember I have a vague memory of trying to stick my finger in my grandmother's fire furnace, little space heater. My grandmother was right. It was the grandmother that lives here in town. It was the other one, and I kept trying. And I remember trying to stick my finger in there because it was real pretty. And she never whipped me. Well, guess what? She hit me on top of the head with a wooden spoon. And thank God she did, or I'd have burnt, not very hard, just like that, or I would have burnt my finger off. My dad says he had to whip me when I was like 2 years old, just barely, because I kept trying to stick a tack in a light socket. Well, what is it? You'd rather your baby be dead? No. Go to your room. Next day, spank them, they quit. But you wait till they're 5 years old before you start spanking them. You do this Dr. Spock stuff, they're going to get more and more rebellious until you're beating your kids later out of frustration. And then the government comes and takes them. So you don't have to beat your children. You can do just like you train a puppy. Reward them when they're good. Oh, good dog. And when they do something that'll get them killed, like going out in the street, no. How vicious. How right-wing. Let's go to some calls. I'm going to read more of this later. I'm going to talk about the Free American and the helicopter base they're building here in Austin under the cover of Starflight. Go ahead and go to your calls. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if I was on the air. Anyway, first of all, I know you're talking about a lot of different things tonight. I just want to, first of all, commend you folks that are going down to the Commissioner's Court on every Tuesday.
Oh, there's only 3 of us. I don't know. There haven't been black preachers, independent people, police officers come down there to speak. There's probably been 60, 70 different people over the last 2 months.
Well, not anybody that's making any sense. Let's put it that way.
Do what?
I said not anybody that's making any sense except for some of you folks.
No. What I'm saying is that the first time we went down there, we had about 10, 12 speakers, and about 7, 8 people were intimidated by the SWAT team and didn't speak.
Okay.
Roland Ellingson and many others. So here you've got, what I'm talking about is I'm going to play a little clip off KVET radio that I was told play like this morning, where they sit there and they say that 2 to 5 people go down there and that we're trying to disrupt the meetings and that Elshire isn't going to let us stop him.
No, I mean, that's not really true. I mean, I've been kind of watching this since the whole incident happened, especially when the SWAT team was down there. And if anything, like I said, I mean, the commissioners are being rude and inconsiderate to you folks.
Well, that's why we started getting rude right back to them.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and plus they lied. I mean, they just lied and they've lied.
No question about it. But again, like I said, what I think is rude, of course, is whenever they get up and leave, or like you were saying today on the phone, and just really not wanting to listen to you guys. And I think it was either last week or the week before that, somebody totally different got up there that wasn't actually part of your particular group, and they were kind of upset because they were saying that anytime, somebody like yourself got up there and speak out, then they would get on the phone or they would leave. But of course, whenever somebody else would come in there, like I guess you guys are talking about this Starflight EMS thing, they would listen with their ears, straight up.
Well, here's the deal. It's really making some of the other people that come to beg and kiss the ring of the commissioners, they're starting to get mad and talk a little bit about us because they used to come in and talk for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's something else I've noticed, too. Now they got a time limit.
And now what they'll do in the next few years, if we keep this up, they'll do like the council did.
Have the little buzzer or whatever.
Well, and they'll make you sign up the week before, and the council, you can only have 10 speakers a week. Now, is that not insane?
Oh, definitely so. I mean, what they always try to say is, we can't take a lot of time on this because we have other business that we have to get to.
Like raising your taxes.
I mean, the citizens are business. I mean, the whole point of putting this citizens communication on the agenda is so that citizens can come up and talk about various items. That is an agenda item.
Let me tell you the point of this helicopter base they're building. And I tried to make the point, I tried to be nice to Elshire today, when I made the point the second time. People that watch it will see me talk for 3 minutes. When I came back, talked on the agenda point because he wouldn't let me talk about it during my 3 minutes or whatever.
No.
They got this Starflight deal passed. $2,031,000 bond package in '97 for Starflight. Then you have the March 3rd, 1998 County Commissioners Court agenda and what they voted on here. Can we get a close-up? I mean, we already have
is this the older document they was talking about, or is this the revised one that they said you could get?
Well, I got the revised one. The revised one
you
doesn't say anything. I have it right here.
Okay, because I heard you talking to them, and they said, well, that's the old one. Of course, Karen said,
yeah, I have
attitude.
in fact, I have the revised one. It just fell on the floor. I'll get that in a second. But here it is right here. It's the same thing. It just says some stuff. They told you it was for Starflight, but then when I asked Elshire today during the second part, he said, yeah, well, we're talking about buying some other helicopters for the sheriff's department, and they'll be stored there. Yeah. Well, why did they lie? Why didn't they say we want some helicopters for the sheriff's department? Why'd they have to get this over $2 million facility, 3 acres, a 3-acre warehouse that can hold 15, 20 deals? I mean,
that's the first I heard of it whenever you brought that up today about this 3-acre facility. I mean, I grew up on a farm, and I know what 3 acres is. That's a lot of land.
Yeah, and 3 acres. That's just the warehouse. It's 8.5 acres for the Travis County Command Center.
Exactly.
With it.
I mean, that's a large facility.
Look, the point is they sneak this police state crap through on you.
Oh, I know.
I told them if they'd have been honest, I wouldn't mind if our police had helicopters. I just want them under our control. And when I talk to SWAT team people today, I'll talk about Lieutenant Beck a little more later, the SWAT team commander. He told me that, he made some excuses and things, and I kind of apologized to me, and I kind of apologized to him. He was outside waiting on me when I came out of the courthouse today and took me over he wanted to talk to me. Took me up to talk to some of the SWAT team guys, and they're all nice guys. You know, they were talking about deer hunting and
well, unfortunately, they have to follow orders, and sometimes those orders can be conflicting when you're dealing with citizens' rights. And
well, they're definitely part of the system, though. He was saying how wonderful the thumb scanning is, and I said, what about urine and blood testing? Oh, I hadn't heard about that. I'm like, well, yeah, it's in the Federal Register. And he just kind of, conspiracy, huh, Alex? I'm like, that's the Federal Register. And the reason he came down is somebody told him I was calling him a liar at the commissioners meeting. Somebody called him and said that. I didn't call him a liar. I said that Bill Elshire's ex-wife that got up there last week and said that I was up there with that I had who's the brown beret guy?
I'm not sure.
Well, I forget his name. A guy I've never even met. Had never been on a show with him, and she said I saw Alex on with Paul Hernandez of the Brown Berets, which I've been told.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I did see that last week where that lady got up there, and it was just like, whoa.
I've never met the man.
I mean, was this truly Elshire's ex-wife?
Yes, it's his ex-wife.
But I don't remember her saying anything like that.
I have never.
I couldn't believe it.
I have never met.
They got their own little spin doctors up there at City Commissioner's Court.
Yeah, and she was saying it wasn't Miss Gomez that did it. Well, and all I said is, let me tell you something. I guess Lieutenant Beck across the street at the SWAT team's lying then.
Yeah, I know. You was making a little sarcastic remark to him, kind of like, well,
yeah, and then somebody called him. I asked him, I said, did you hear it? And he said, no, I got some calls saying you were calling me a liar. I mean, that's just how this trash works. I'm not talking about Beck. I'm not calling him trash. I'm talking about some others.
Oh, I understand.
That's how this trash works. They just lie their asses off. And I'll tell you, a guy from a radio station down the parking lot, I said, hey, how you doing? Because, I've had some conversations on the air and stuff, they were saying stuff that was wrong about me. And Mr. Crowley from KVEP Radio retracted his statement 2 weeks ago that the SWAT team was there and they were called out, and et cetera, et cetera. But, again, this morning, he had to come back and bash it some more. It's 3 to 5 people that are there. Excuse me. On average, we probably have 8 to 9 speakers. You've seen, how many speakers do we usually have?
It averages, like you said, about 8 to 9.
Yeah.
I mean, this week was a little light.
Yeah, and
last week I think
exactly.
Was
some weeks 10, 15, some weeks 5.
But what I've seen since all this kind of started is I'm seeing some other people get up there that aren't actually affiliated with, say, the Texas.
Well, see, that's the deal. It's
which is good.
I'm not even talking exactly. I'm not even talking just with us. And yes, more people are coming. And then he goes, this group of 3 to 5 people. At the Downsized Government Conference, we had over 300 people there last time. Mm-hmm. And this is, we had 100-something people on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, people are definitely getting tired of all this. I mean,
why is everything judged on how big a group is? How about if our ideas are good? How about if we documented that ASAP, the Adult Student Assistance Program, is unconstitutional?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, does that not matter to these yahoos?
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, these people obviously are interested in what you have to say, or at least they're trying to save face. That they don't want to try to admit anything, of course. And, they're basically looking at you guys as being disruptive and all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, people aren't really looking at what's going on. I mean, they see what's on the outside, but they don't look what's on the inside, unfortunately. And what irritates me, like I said, is they're not giving you guys your just due. I mean, they're not allowing you to really voice your opinions properly. They're cutting you off. I mean, they're being extremely rude. Very much so. And I think that's ridiculous. Like,
look, these people are used to little... I mean, a
I
lot of these bureaucrats, most of them really look like this. I mean, they literally come up and go.
I agree.
Listen, I have my body tics and things, but these guys, I mean, if I'm in bright lights, I'll be going like this and stuff. But these guys, you'll see them when they're talking about appropriations. The bureaucrats, they'll be going.
Well, I mean, well, of course. I mean, they're lapdogs. I mean, they're asking for a treat basically, and they'll do whatever they can to get it. But the thing, again, it just irritates me to no end is that these people work for us. I mean, people forget about that. Any politician that's out there is a servant to the people, period. And
well, listen, what's your name?
My name's Tim.
Tim, we need people. I know it's hard to get down there to the commissioners' meeting at 9 a.m. when you got work.
It's tough, and I thoroughly believe that they do that on purpose. I really, really do. I know you guys have requested many a times to look into possibly holding some of these citizens' communications at a later time where possibly more people can get down there. Do you think that they really want a bunch of citizens down there griping? No way. That'll throw off their agenda. I mean, I really think they do that on purpose.
Of course they do. They want you to totally turn loose.
Oh, sure.
They want to push you into the sports arenas. The media tells you it's all that corrupt, stupid stuff. And they hold Clinton up there at the national level with more and more dirt. And finally, people for years have said he's got to go down. He's going to go down for the Chinese, for this, for that, for the drug dealers, Jorge Cabrera. It just goes on and on and on. And finally, people are just saying, I'm just sick of it all. Forget it. I don't care.
Well, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I mean, our society has become so complex that it's impossible.
Overload.
It's impossible to keep up on all this stuff. I mean, if you're
so you don't go by what they put out. You don't go by their information. You read it and check it out. But you go to the actual government. Hold on. You actually go to the government documents. You decide what's important. My family, me. What's more compassionate? Me taking care of my kids and raising them, and I don't care if we have high state taxes. Me supporting my state, or is it going to this federal government that's controlled by foreign banks, where private banks print the money? The CIA brings drugs in. They test biological weapons on us, and this is just what's declassified.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what's funny, too. I mean, that's another area that, of course, you can get into.
These are criminals, and I don't care.
Yeah.
You see, that's the difference. They call it hate radio, they call it all this, and a lot of it is a bunch of garbage on radio, just like on the internet or on TV. But they call it hate radio because these are people, a lot of them aren't going to lie. They're going to get angry. They're getting up there and speaking from their heart. They're not sitting there going, we're the good people, and we're real nice, and we're real serious, and we're talking to you right now like we're your parents, and we've got the experts here, and Peter Jennings agrees.
It just comes down to,
Well, hold on a second. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, most definitely.
They sit there like they are the authority, and they sit there real nice and real kind. Don't worry, the EPA's buying armed personnel carriers and has its own huge SWAT team, and the IRS, hold on.
That they forget.
Hold on, the IRS, I have to say this.
Go ahead.
IRS has FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement, people in black ski masks and black uniforms. SWAT teams are expanding all across the country, and they're just going to take their orders. And everybody's arming, and the bureaucrats, well, they sit up there and smile at you on TV, and the news is their friend, because the news is owned by those corporations that get their money from the government through corporate welfare, and they're just laughing at you and selling you slavery. I'm sorry, I want to make some closing comments.
I was just saying that you're absolutely right, and a lot of people don't realize that. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people have gotten away from realizing that these people represent us. We are the bosses. We are the presidents of the corporation, so to speak, or the owner, excuse me. And they're basically just the managers. And getting back to a local level, with the commissioner situation, what irritates me again is that you see some of these other people up there, like you said, and they kind of like scringe down and beg, to be recognized and all that, and that's ridiculous. It's like, how many people people out there who own a business, and I do own a business, would allow their employees to dictate to them policy and everything.
Well, let me say something. Hold on. They're up on a dais, and look, face it, most people are furniture, most people are followers, all through history. Hold on. Most people have been slaves. This was a country, not perfect. I know our history's been bashed, but study the rest of the world 225 years ago. We were one of the best. But anyways, that's another part of the plan. I can't mention our history without, being Italian. And we were a country where people said, we're not perfect, but we're not going to be pushed around by this king. So we're the minority, but we're going to kick butt and take over this thing. 2 or 3% were the first colonial people.
Exactly.
We're not going to be slaves. We don't care what the furniture does. The furniture will cower in their house while we're doing battle out the street.
Exactly.
So don't worry about this mindless trash. See, I'm not going to sit here and kiss the mindless trash's ass like Clinton does and get them down into this. I mean, Clinton hates you. He thinks of you as absolute idiots. At least in fact, I shouldn't call you absolute idiots. That's wrong. I feel sorry for you. But I'm threatened by you, and I hear your comments in grocery stores. I hear your comments when I'm out. I see it. I just hear the pain, and it's like a dangerous stampede of elephants or
you're right.
sheep.
And the term I like
they're coming towards you, and I'm very angry at these cattle.
Well, and like I said, the term I like to use is that people are ignorant. They're not stupid. They're just ignorant. And the same thing with myself. A few years ago, I was the same way. I just didn't know. I mean, I followed. I assumed that everything was peachy and rosy and everything, but it's not. I mean, until you get off your own butt and start. We got
a government that is. I've read you the MKL document before. We got a government that is. This is the old declassified stuff, spraying biological weapons on us in subways and killing people. You got the CIA documented bringing in drugs.
Well, and that's a whole other situation. If you want to start talking about the Iraq situation, it's okay for our own government in our own country to do the same thing to us, but it's not okay for supposedly Saddam Hussein doing it to his people. He's corrupt. He's a terrorist. He's a person.
Also, by the way, we sold him those weapons in the mid-'80s. Listen, I
understand. All right, no problem. Go on. Thanks.
Take care.
I have a comment on that.
Okay, go ahead.
One thing that I'd like to say is that I think it's interesting that at this point in history, Americans specifically, and most of the people around the world, have gotten to the point where they unquestioningly associate democracy with freedom. And I think it's really interesting if you just look at the way that our political structure is built up, barring all the special interest groups and all the soft money, et cetera, that's in Washington. If you look at the percentage of people that turn out for voting, like let's say a 30 to 40% turnout of people on a national scale election is considered good, or let's say 10% of people.
Well, Buckley, hold on a second. It's more complex than this.
Well, exactly, and that's what I'm getting at.
I need to talk about this.
Beyond that, you got the Electoral College, et cetera. So,
but let me finish. I need to say this. The problem is the national election is staged. The presidential election is candidate A and candidate B. They're both CFR. They're both trilateral commission.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying. Is that
so? Wait a minute. Only thing we can, I disagree with Jeff Davis last night. I agree with him on most things. He was saying it was good that people would turn out for the local election, and I disagree with that. Locally, you can have an effect. Statewide, you can have an effect, but you can pretty much forget it nationally now, unless you get somebody like Ron Paul elected, which is a rarity. Go ahead.
Well, that's a really good point. But what I was actually trying to get to is that all that's happened is that we've just had a converted paradigm, which essentially is, if you look back in the earlier part of this century and before that, we had a structure built up where there were kings pretty much everywhere.
I can't hear you.
There were kings in most of the nations of the world, and they ran everything pretty much despotically. And every once in a while, there were things people would be overthrown, etc. And what happened with democracy? It's a great idea that started off very well, the whole French thing, etc. And the Americans sort of brought it along real well, but it's just become absolutely co-opted in the name of kingdom. Of people being kings. And people still to this day think that if you live in a democratic country that you are, quote, free, but you are being controlled in a much more insidious way. That's all that my point was.
You're right, but let me add to that, Buckley. But what they do is is that people think that you can keep some semblance of freedom. I don't mean absolute freedom. There's no such thing. There's no freedom from death, freedom from disease. Here these utopian people think government's going to give them this. Big government gives you Russia, gives you East Germany, gives you North Korea, gives you Cuba, starvation, death, gives you Cambodia, murdering, killing. That's what because it's just a new king. It's just all these countries are run by strong men. It's a joke. It's a false term. And people think you can just turn loose of the wheel. And people get everything. They get their agendas. They get their topics for the day to talk to their friends at coffee breaks from the TV. What was on the news this morning? How did the news phrase it? Because people don't have respect for themselves anymore. They don't have the respect to think, hey, I've got a valid point of view. What I think has some validity. They don't look for like their own basic human law. They don't search. They don't read history. And it's a sheep-like mentality. People get up in the morning, a lot of them, and I hear them talking all the time. It's disgusting. What do the polls say? And they literally read the poll. And half these polls are totally off the charts. They're all take back with Clinton. The gender gap was like 24% in some polls. Well, day of the election, it was only 10%. And that was generated by that poll that made people go and do that. The gender gap was only like 2% 6 months before the election.
So how does this directly relate to the statement that I made?
Well, you have to first realize that the CIA brings in drugs, that the Federal Reserve is private, that they have asset forfeiture seizure with no drugs on you if they want to implement that federal law, which they do routinely, that there's no freedom anymore. The IRS can just come take your house, and you can't do anything about it. I mean, they just do it. And the news, people get real pissed off about it, and the news will say, oh, boy, people are mad. The IRS is going to get fixed. Oh, Congress is talking about it. Hey, what's the solution? We're going to keep in 36 offices, we're going to stay open half a day on Saturdays now. Fixed.
That's the whole point, is to make sure that the majority feels secure and safe, and to stigmatize people that are being provoked to that degree. Exactly.
So it's just getting worse and worse. Let's go ahead. You'll have to plug in the tape deal, and let's go ahead and go. And we'll leave me up on the screen here because there's no video. This is from Judge Elshire talking, and this is Bob Crowley from KVET Radio. I'm going to play a very short clip. And this is basically Crowley's admitted. He's their news reporter. He seems like a decent guy. And I talked to him today. You could just see it in his eyes. You guys need to learn some civics. I said, hey, how you doing? Hey, it was good talking to you the other day. You guys need to learn some civics. I almost went up there today. What the hell did we do? You watched the tape. It's going to play on Channel 17 this week. We went forward and spoke to them. You guys need to learn civics. And I've just been nice to Elshire and everything. Not my first speech, but my second one. And I didn't even know that morning. Crowley admitted that he was wrong on the radio a couple weeks ago, that the SWAT team was there. For weeks they called it a liar. And Sammy and Bob got on there and said, this moron is on here. And he's saying that he just saw a SWAT officer that was there getting an award. And this one fella just goes absolutely ape. And the officer walks over and says, I'm trying to get an award. Would you please behave normally? I was sitting in the front row. You've seen the tape. And I'm going to quit talking about this soon. But it just keeps going. Reading the agenda for that day. Quietly reading. And you've seen the tape. And the SWAT admits that. And I talked to Lieutenant Beck today. And so she talked to him 4 weeks ago. We checked with them before and found out that Margaret Martinez's office called out the SWAT and called KVET and told them the truth. They didn't care. It was till I played the tape over and over till they retract their statement. Now, they've retracted it, and they're still telling half-truths. Let's go ahead and go to that tape.
Okay. Well, Despite a threat to delay and disrupt Travis County Commissioners meetings, the county judge doesn't want to change the rules on citizens communication. A group from Texas Best Seminars has been before commissioners every Tuesday for the past couple of months, with 3 to 5 speakers slamming commissioners for the ASAP program. Their comments have included a threat to fill the chamber and keep citizens communication going all morning. Despite that, County Judge Bill Elshire says he doesn't want to change the rules.
No, I don't really support changing the rules based on the sometimes bad behavior and rude behavior of certain people.
Elshire says he may be more strict in enforcing the time limits, but he doesn't want to eliminate the segment or put it later in the session. Williamson County Commissioners are expected to...
All right. Okay. Basically, you want to come in there and talk about some big government plan and worship them, you can talk 10 minutes. They cut us, they interrupt you. You can watch the tape from today. He interrupted me. Now, this is during the first citizens communication. Don't see the later part of the tape and see me talking for 10 minutes and getting confused. I was speaking on something on the agenda item and had to wait there an hour and a half. Guys, can't you just admit you're wrong? Elshire, Gomez, Crowley. Crowley, how dare you when I reach out a hand of friendship to you? In fact, the program director of KVET Radio, FM, called Greg Erickson and asked me to call in the Sammy and Bob show. And I don't do that because I have an FM radio show, and I want to thank my sponsor, 98.9 KJFK FM, a little bit later, if we can get that in there. I didn't want to call in. For weeks I was being bashed, and basically out of ignorance or on purpose, they were lying. So I said, all right, I'm going to call in to defend myself. And I called in to defend myself. Bob Crowley came in there to talk on the mic. I said, hey, how you doing? I think Bob's a good guy, Bob Crowley. It didn't matter. I see him today, and it's still. These are the guys. These are the guys. So I'm not going to say you're a nice guy anymore. Okay? You're a bootlicker. You're stuck in a radio station. You may be happy, but I don't imagine you make a ton of cash. And all you can do is run around and lick the boots of liars and big mouths and Elshire. You know, if the IRS was busting your house, Crowley, I would come to your aid. Anybody's aid. I would be up with cameras and things and try to get some attention on it. You wouldn't. You'd probably say it was wonderful, wouldn't you? Or whitewash it or something. I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of you people. I'm not putting on an act anymore. I'm not going to be Mr. Nice Guy like Bill Clinton while he stabs you in the back. I'm going to reach out a hand and say, get the hell out of that burning building, man! Get the hell out of there! Wake up! Get out of your sleep! Wake the hell up, slave! You can wake up. You can get energized. You're not going to save the world. Yes, there it is. 98.9 KJFK FM, Free Speech Radio. That is our sponsor. 98.9 KJFK. It's All Talk FM, and I do want to thank my sponsor. We'll leave that up there for 30 seconds or so for you to thank the sponsor. All right, we're going to go to 2 more phone calls, and then I'm going to go to some news clips. I've got a deal that I'm going to talk over. Last week when I was leaving the Commissioners Court meeting, I saw a derelict vehicle parked by the courthouse. With conservatively, I didn't want to get in the tickets because I could probably get in jail for that, touch them. Probably 100 parking, 75, I'm not sure. Wait till you see. Stack up them that big and stack up them that big, just all. This is the bureaucratic mind. It's kind of like the movie Brazil. A Terry Gilliam film, I believe, or I forget. It's a really good political film. The SWAT team carves a hole in the roof and drops down through on a fireman's pole, and then it shows the bureaucrats later come in to put a plug in, and it falls to the hole. It's the wrong size. That's exactly how bureaucrats are, and they're getting over half of everything in this nation now. They don't transfer to the foreign banks to control them. And they're meant to be inept and all this. I got one of these today. Told the SWAT team guy when he met me at the out in the parking lot that he wanted to come talk to me. My car was like 3 blocks away. He said, oh, come on, you won't get a ticket. If you do, I can get you out of it. And he laughed because he knew I'd made it. And he goes, oh, I mean, actually, I can. This is Lieutenant Beck. Well, sir, I wouldn't have got this, but I'm not going to blame it on you. I'll pay my $15. I was ignorant. But I'm going to show you a car, a derelict vehicle, not my vehicle, with like 50 to 100 tickets on it. I didn't count them. Wads of these things, stacks of these things. It's just ridiculous. Let's go ahead and take 2 calls, and then we'll go to that. Thanks for holding, caller.
Hey, Alex, you're doing a great job.
I guess I'm doing a great job. I'm kind of stressed out today.
No, I got 2 questions, and then I have a comment.
You want to hear about Popular Mechanics, this month's issue? In 1966, the Pentagon ordered U.S. Army to launch a biological attack on the New York City subway system. Details of this experiment remain classified. Deaths did occur.
Yeah, well, can I ask you a question now?
Yes.
This guy, Bob Crowley, Linda Gomez, and Elshire, I hear you get all upset about how these people lie and how they go on. I mean, what do you expect? These people are politicians. They're, it's like a notch below child molester. The ethics these have.
Yeah, we're here to put them back in line.
And
we're not going to let these people run roughshod over us and claim that it's for Starflight, and then Elshire admits up there that they're going to put Sheriff's Department helicopters. If they want a Sheriff's Department command complex helicopter base, they can bring it to the voters. Don't call it Starflight and then build your JTF deal.
And don't you agree that for years, under the eyes of the war on drugs, these people have been building up the military, just like that piece on 60 Minutes where they showed that little bitty county in Florida that had like an armored personnel carrier, M16s, all the equipment from the military.
20 helicopters,
and then
jets.
paid them to train to know how to use it. And my next question is, why do you make it so hard for people to be able to call in? I've been trying for 5 weeks to call in. And
I should take more calls, shouldn't I?
Yeah, and
I know.
And before the elections, this recent election that we had, just the night before, and it was the show that you do on Monday night, you said vote for the straight Republican or Democrat. I can't remember what you said vote.
Okay, the whole court, hold on, I said the whole court is Democrat.
Right.
So I was saying throw them out, get Republicans in. If they cause a problem, throw them out.
That's right.
I don't care if you're called the Commie Party or the Moon Party or the Weebly Party. I want you to do the constitutional.
And what I wanted to say was, the next time we have an election, why don't you take a little time before the night before to explain the ballot to people and stuff like that? Because some of us actually vote, and I should take it on myself.
Hey, how about you get an Access TV show?
But would you just next time before we have election take a night before to explain and have the ballot on there so we can all know what to vote for and against? That's my only comment.
Basically, they're all bad right now. I mean, they're just all bad. I mean, they're just all a bunch of, and I went in there today.
Yeah, everything's going to hold in a handbasket, but I'm not going to sit around.
No, I'm not either. No.
I'm going to go down there and vote.
You have to understand
I have
something.
only a choice between 2 criminals. I'm going to vote for the lesser of the 2 criminals.
Basically, what you do is
I'm not going to complain and not go vote.
What you do is you throw the bums out. Travis County has never had Republicans. And I'm told they've never had a Republican on that commissioner's court.
But it's pitiful. Even on the we don't have anybody to choose from. It's like Gary Morrow running.
Hold on,
the guy is a professional politician. He is exactly what's wrong with this country now. People have been they make a living out of running for office.
Yes, let me back up for a second.
And speaking of that guy, I told him blow at a party about 10 years ago.
Really?
And he stiffed me, yeah.
You what?
He stiffed me.
Stiffed you for what? What'd you say?
Never mind. I was rattling. Gary Morrow, the guy that's running for the Democratic. He's a professional politician.
Yeah.
And on the ballot the other day, that's the only person you had to choose from.
Well, let me tell you.
Democratic category.
Let me tell you something about this.
It's like they decided who they want us to vote on before we even get over there to vote.
Let me tell you something about this. For the people out there that heard me say vote Republican here locally, they are going to get real partisan and turn the channel. What I'm saying, I don't care if you do. That's
yeah,
fine.
but I know.
Would you let me make this comment? Come on.
You're vote person, not party.
Hold on a second. What I'm trying to say to you. What's your first name?
CD.
CD. What I'm trying to say is this: if the Republicans had been the sole holders of the commissioner's court for 100 and something years, I would say vote Democrat. I mean, you've got entrenched power. And they just sit up there and stick their heels out, and little snakes come in and lick their boots. And I'm sick of it. So that's what it comes down to. Do you have any quick comments?
No, that's it. I just keep it up and don't let the people get you down.
Yeah, they're not getting me down. I just am, I don't know. I just want to do a real good show tonight, and I'm kind of got it behind. Go ahead. Hello, caller.
Yeah, I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the death penalty.
This is not a perfect world. Some innocent people will be executed. if we had a penal colony, I wouldn't mind just dumping people off if they had things that they could sustain themselves and let the criminals live together. And you might get a hardy group of people like Australia. But we don't have that anymore. Maybe we can send them to space or something, send murderers to space or something in 50, 100 years. But I don't think they should be given the honor of that. Basically, I would be for life incarceration, but then you get slave labor because you want to make people pay for their stay, and that's bad. So then death penalty. I'm sorry, if somebody was to kidnap my little sister or something and kill her, I'd want them to. I'd want them to die a slow, painful death, probably. But actually, no. I would want them just to get lethal injection. And I am for the appeal process and things like that. But basically, you hear all this whining for the person who dies, who's executed, but you don't hear any whining for the victims. So it's not a perfect world, but I think the death penalty in its current form isn't good because you keep them on death row for 15 years on average or something. I think Texas is a little better. I think we execute them in like 5 years, don't we?
Actually, I was specifically talking about Carla Faye Tucker.
Executor, dead, gone, good.
You agree with me? I've talked to several people that say no, and
well, they're feeling powerful right now. They're not thinking about the precedent it sets. Well, no, hold on. They're feeling like they're standing up on. We'll allow them to live. Yes, we must be compassionate. You create a system. You create a mindset where other innocents are going to be killed by murderers. You see what I'm saying?
I don't understand why they say yes. You should have spared her or whatever.
Well, she admitted to killing people.
Yes, and
in her deposition, she said that she got sexual pleasure out of it. And
yes.
And let me tell you something. I know how to look at people's eyes. I look at me. I see a good-hearted maniac. I look at Carla Faye Tucker. I see a big, sick, manipulative liar. I mean, people go, look how loving her eyes are. Oh, look at her.
Yeah, I mean, if I did something that
no, here it is. Total act. I just love Jesus so much.
I mean, if I was on death row, I imagine I would say something like that too. But yes, yeah.
And that's fine. If she loves Jesus, maybe she's with Jesus. And that's fine if Jesus wants to forgive her. But right now, she's off this planet, not running around killing people with pickaxes.
That's right. If God wants to save her soul, yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate your call.
Do you
have any more comments?
I want to address you on the child abuse.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, child abuse is one thing, but spatting a 3-year-old kid if they try to walk out in the street the 10th time they do it and timeout hadn't worked, it's good. Did you hear my story about the mother seal spanking her cub?
Well,
or actually, seals are called pups.
Swat on the butt.
Seals are called pups, and the seal hops over to the ice hole where the killer whale is. The mother comes over and spats him.
Yeah, I agree. A swat on the butt. I mean, I don't agree with beating a child to.
Well, no, you should do like Dr. Spock. Since we had Dr. Spock, again, the second biggest selling book in all time was a book he wrote about, a series of books he wrote about children, raising children. Hundreds of millions of people bought the book, or tens of millions, and we raised a bunch of people that have to go to psychiatrists and psychologists. We raised a bunch of people that are on a bunch of medication. Half of them are in prison. They never got told no, and they keep pushing things. They commit a crime, they end up in prison.
Exactly. I mean,
that's why. I mean, our crime rate since the 40s, when he wrote these books, and on through, it have just exploded. Dr. Spock is a real travesty, and I'm sorry he's dead now, but I wish he never would have been born.
Well, I mean, a swat on the butt, a no. I mean, I don't agree with beating a child to the point of bruises or anything, but yeah,
well, look,
swat.
Did you hear my story?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't. Yes, exactly.
Okay, a puppy up to the time that they're of 6 months, you discipline them when they're very, very young. Now, puppies are born, and in a few weeks, they're farther along developed. Of course, with an infant child, you should do no discipline up until the age
And a
of...
12-year-old won't be pregnant.
Well, let me explain this, because I've seen my parents raise people pretty good. Okay, what you do is up until 2 years of age in a human, you don't want to discipline them. I mean, don't even, you can say no, but not even this.
Yeah.
Okay, but then after 2, when they're trying to, because now their brains have gotten to the point where they can realize, but they're not intellectual yet. Up till 2, humans are so undeveloped that humans are so undeveloped because of the size of our heads and things, and that's goes into genetics and things, but I won't get into that.
Uh-huh.
Up until that point, it's not like with a dog or a seal or something in the normal mammal interaction. They're so stupid or so unprogrammed that anything will hurt them. You just got to keep them out of harm's way and show leadership, and they'll see that. And don't get in mind games with your kids either. You're in command. Then what you do is, they're 2 years old. They start trying to stick stuff in light sockets. They start trying to go out the street. You tell them no. Next time they do it, they need to get a whipping, because what's going to hurt worse? No, like you do a puppy, or getting run over by that car.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, just a swat on the butt, I agree with.
Needs to be done.
I mean, a beating, that's a different...
Yeah.
Whole different
I didn't
story.
get any beatings till I was about 12, and that wasn't my parents. That was bullies. But by the time I was 13, I remember right off the bat one time, I was 12 years old, and I was walking from one of my friends' houses, and this was in a decent neighborhood, in an alley. And these 14 and 15 and 16-year-old kids come up, and just start beating the hell out of me. One of them had a broomstick. But you know what I did 2 years later? I think one of the guys was like 17 then, and I was like 14. I had really rushed into puberty quick. I went into puberty when I was about 11. By the time I was 13 or 14, I was very, very aggressive, and those people paid dearly. Well, listen, I appreciate your call.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. And I hate to sit up here and act like I know it all. I've seen a mother seal spank her child, spank her pup, okay? And I've trained dogs, and I've seen my parents raise my sister. We're all mammals here, my friends. My sister's gotten one whipping for going out in the street for the 3rd time. That's it. Now me, I probably had about 100. But they weren't bad, and it was when I was younger, and then I got to be well behaved. Okay, let's go ahead and go to one more caller, and then we will go to I do want to talk about the thumb scanning, but what's next on our agenda? The tickets, yeah. Hello, you're on the air.
Don't you know it takes a village to raise our children?
Yes. Yes.
Come on.
The bureaucrats will do a good job for us, won't they?
It's fantastic. They got all the answers for us.
Oh, you're just complaining.
Sure. What else? What else is new?
Get a life. Translated.
Yeah, right.
No, translated. Submit. Lay down. Be cowed. Don't have your own opinion. Look to others. What should I do? How should I behave? I see people in restaurants. They are so damn insecure. Have you ever seen them? The way people just look, and somebody walks in, and everybody's real embarrassed all the time. And everybody's just, nobody has their own compass. And I'm not bragging on myself. A lot of people...
It's called no balls. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to get a hold of Clinton's medical records?
Well, that's a good point. Clinton, did you hear me
You're
earlier?
only president, but you can't get his medical records. I wonder why.
Did you? Well, it's because he's a known cokehead.
Well, sure, he's...
Hold on. This has even been out on mainstream media just a few times. Clinton has spent, when he was a governor, whole 2-month periods. I could back this up. I don't have the documents here tonight. Whole 2 months.
Sure you do. You speak the truth, my friend.
Hold on. 2 months. Well, but I have where he wants to urine and blood test.
Oh, you're 98.8% right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Clinton has been for 2-month periods just gone. He would just disappear from Arkansas, and he'd be up north. The guy would have to go to rehab facilities because he would be having heart palpitations and things from snorting so much coke. Mr. Lassiter said Clinton had
The guy that he pardoned, you mean?
Yeah, he'd have... Clinton had 16-year-old girls just coming through buckets of cocaine.
Right.
Because they were shipping it in.
It's all documented.
But listen, that's a great point, Gordy, because I know your name. Let me tell you, Did you hear me read from the Federal Register, July 2nd, 1997, volume 62, number 127? Summary: the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announces the availability of federal funds to support the planning effort necessary to demonstrate and evaluate the effectiveness of pre-driver's license drug testing. And
I knew about that.
Hold on. I hear the DPS is now asking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I knew about that before you brought it out, Alex. Before you started making news of it, I had heard about it.
Well, Clinton came out on the radio and said it's for people under 18. It's for 25% of large state populations, and it talks about.
And now they're trying to take everybody's guns, and they will start a war when they think they can get away with doing that, because that's what's in the books right now. That's what they're really trying to push for, is take away the guns.
Guns are already illegal. If you're caught with a handgun in your car, I don't care if it's locked up. They'll take you to jail, my friend. There's no Second Amendment unless you go get registered. That's what Hitler allowed. Hitler said no more having guns unless you register them.
I used to wonder growing up how the German people, being so smart like I know they are, how they got so duped by Hitler, and we're living it right now.
They were told,
and we're seeing it happening. And most people, you're screaming fire, and most people are saying, too bad, let us burn.
Well, listen to this. Here is their backup. They talk about how to get it done. They say, in addition, these broad federal programs, drug testing programs, also connected in other contexts, such as state, local, and private employees, high school, professional athletes, and individuals who have been incarcerated in prison who are on parole.
Cameras everywhere.
Now, hold on. They're talking about precedent. For a page, they talk about the task force felt that the pre-license testing would send an important message to American youth. It's for everybody. That's the lie.
Exactly.
So, hold on. Planning grants made available under this announcement will be. Now here it is. They talk about the way they're able to do it. They said they can do it under reasonable search in the procurement of the individual's blood, breath, urine, or other specimen. See, they start with your breath. Now they want urine and blood or other specimen.
How loving.
And it is to be administered for those 18 and under, and or 25% of large state populations, randomly selected. 4 of you go into the DPS office. 1 of you is drug tested. Take that blood out of there.
Well, we're all criminals, I guess.
Gordy, are you going to be there the 25th?
Yes, I'm going to be there.
Next Wednesday.
I'm trying to get a bunch of my friends. I got 150 friends that all believe in everything you say, and I'm going to try to kick all their butts to get down there. I'll be lucky to get 5 of them down there. I'll be down there.
You know this has been defeated in several states. It's fixing to be defeated in Georgia. I was actually wrong about that. They've had a standstill. It still may go through. This is the 25th, and that's the live number to call here. I'm going to put up a comment line because my line is full up. My comment line is 343-8513, but it's full right now. I forgot I didn't have time for the show to dump the calls off, like 50 of them. There is a comment line. There's the Jeff Davis comment line. He's coordinating this with me, and it's 370-9558. And it's nonviolent protest. We're going down there. You can have signs out front. We want about 30, 40, 50 people there. We'll see if you've got what it takes. It's 2:30 next Wednesday on North Lamar at the DPS driver's license facility right next door to the DPS Police Academy. And bring snapshot cameras, bring video cameras, bring everything. We're going to document the thumb scanners. It's been going on since '93, but nobody wants to talk about it. We're going to show that people are against it. Everybody I talk to on the street is against thumb scanning. And when I tell them about urine and blood testing, they think I'm lying to them. In fact, a lot of people think I'm lying about the thumb.
You speak nothing but the truth, man. Hey, I was raised by a saint. All my friends call me a prophet. I'm not a prophet, okay? But I know what I know, and you are it, my friend.
Oh,
People better wake up.
Okay, what?
People better wake up. It's you're trying to wake everybody up to reality, and they're just the majority of them are shutting you off like you're some kind of sick wacko nut, and it's just the opposite. It's just the opposite of that, my friend.
Well, it takes. Well, you know what? I am absolutely nuts.
I am too. And
No.
You know what?
Here's my point.
It takes a nut to wake everybody up. If that's what they want to call us.
Here's my point. You were a nut in Nazi Germany in '33 when they just started registering guns and making people register, and it was real slow. It took a long time. You were a nut to stand up against it. You're crazy, man. This is for the people. He's great. I saw Hitler on TV today. And they had TV in Germany, by the way, by '36. They were the first to use it.
Sure.
I saw Hitler on TV today, hugging children. I heard him on the radio. I saw a newsreel down at the theater. We think of Hitler as this evil demon, which he was, because we've seen a lot of the real information after the fact. You watch I have got documentaries, excellent ones, that show Hitler was into art and architecture and for the children and the people's cars for everybody, and welfare. It was a socialist state, and everybody, and the economy got real good.
Yeah.
But it was based on evil.
Exactly. That's just what's going on right now.
And every
man.
picture,
There's so much evil. We got to beat it, man.
I saw a film called Architect of Doom or Architect of Destruction at Adobe years ago with my father and my mother down at UT. It was like 2 hours of this stuff. And it was just showed Hitler kissing babies, Goebbels, and hugging women. And Hitler had like 98% approval ratings with women when he first got in. And I'm not just saying it, this is a true story. They thought he was the sexiest thing. He said first you get the women, then you get the children, then so follow the men. And he only got in with about 40% of the men's vote. And then of course a few years later the men were 100% behind him. They were all dying in foreign lands.
Aren't we all so lucky?
Loving.
It's so loving.
Hitler's so handsome, so tough, that World War I veteran. Oh, Clinton, he's so good, he cares about me. I don't care if he fondles and gropes women for jobs and molests and is a cocaine runner and rated SNLs and Jim and
Don't bring up the SNLs with me.
Well, of course McDougal is dead. Oh, he was in solitary confinement and had a heart attack,
Yeah, isn't that
And
obvious?
Ron
Isn't
Brown's
that
plane. Hold on, Ron Brown's plane blew up, and Vince Foster was out at a park with no blood coming from a bullet wound in his head. And,
no dirt on his shoes.
And this was even in the Senate hearing with, who's that black lady, Clinton's top secretary? Just secretary of the White House, not the secretary. She seemed like a nice lady, but she had to admit under oath that she had cleaning crews there that day, shampooing the carpets and cleaning the walls of his office, and he had those fibers, and all the photos were overexposed. That was Vince Foster.
When the back of your head is blown off, there'd be blood and guts everywhere.
No.
Right.
No. It's kind of like this, Gordy. There's no land left, because most people, when they go up in an airplane, don't make the connection. Wow, there's a lot of land up here. Same thing. Most people have never shot something in the head.
I've driven across this country many a time.
Well, in fact, I kind of sounded crazy here. Let me explain this. It's all perceptions. Most people haven't shot a hog in the head with a 7mm Magnum rifle. Most people haven't, which I've done, and I'm not into it anymore, but I used to hunt. When most people see the Kennedy assassination, they see the back of his head blow off, and they're just... But the back of his head blew off.
And then that.
Well, hold on. If you know anything about guns, if a bullet goes in the front, in the back, it's a small little pinhole, almost closes. And when it goes out the front, it blows a hole about this big. Well, how was he shot in the back from the book suppository building if the back of his head blew off? The grassy knoll. Yes, multiple shots. People who haven't gone hunting out there, I'm not telling you to, I'm not saying it's good or bad, go out and shoot something in the head with a high-powered rifle, shoot it in the front of the head, and watch the back of the head blow off.
Exactly.
Watch the back of the head blow off. I've done it personally, so I know. Kennedy got hit like this, then boom, boom, baby. I rest my case. Now let's go back to the environmentalism. People haven't been around this country. They don't know history. They don't get the statistics that once a country industrializes, they get negative or stagnant population growth, and your problem is solved. They just think that the world population's growing. Well, how about we industrialize those third world nations, and then they will stabilize. Woo, it always happens. But we're not being given real statistics, are we, Gordy?
Look at our infrastructure. It's been falling apart for years.
That's part of the trilateral plan
stated
by David Rockefeller.
Up. There's so many connections towards what you say. It's in everyone's face. The majority of them know it. It's sad that they just turn away and say, "Who cares?"
Absolutely.
They're going to get it. I mean, I'm honest to God, they're going to get it. It's inevitable because not enough people are going to come forward.
Gordy, what do you think about this month's Popular Mechanics, the April 1998? What do you think about Greatest Secrets of the Cold War? And on page 69, they just admit, yeah, back in the 50s, they released biological weapons on people and killed people in San Francisco. Yeah, well, 1966.
That doesn't surprise me because I've known that for years. I'm 40, I'll be 41 pretty soon, and I've known that since I was about 17 with nobody telling me. Nobody had to tell me. I knew it was going on, and then I find out it's going on as the years go by. You know, I'm not an ignorant idiot like most people. I can't help it. I have to say this. Most people are blind.
Gordy,
they don't have that sense.
Gordy, it seems like, well, they feel like they're part of the system, Gordy. It seems like me and you get angry at these people. I don't.
I love them too much. That's why I get angry, and that's why you're doing this show, because you love people too much.
I don't think I'm ignorant.
No, you're not. You're far from it.
Well, I mean, actually,
the people that are scoffing you are the ignorant ones.
Well,
and that's the majority.
No, Gordy, they feel like they're part of it. See, they think America. They know America's doing things that are wrong.
They've been duped, man.
Hold on. No, selling weapons. They think that we're part of it. We're the big guys. We're part of the team. No, we're the slaves inside the empire.
Exactly.
And so they feel like they're part of it, and they want to cozy up to the big guy. They want to feel like, well, I don't trust you, but hey, I like you. And in a way, subconsciously they're afraid, so they accept it consciously. Oh, I accept it, therefore I have power over it. But besides, you can't do anything about it. Pure garbage.
Exactly.
Gordy, I appreciate your call.
All right, guy.
Take care, man. Again, that is the 25th. That is next Wednesday at the DPS office on North Lamar. Do it for your kids. I know it's scary to go down there and protest. I know it's embarrassing to stand on the street corner with a sign. I know it just feels weird because you didn't see it on TV. Nobody told you that it was honored to do that. And tonight, I had the tape. It's actually in there. Maybe I'll cue it up later. I forgot to give it to my producer. Of Martin Luther King being drug out of lunch counters, being drug off buses, being drug out of bathrooms, trying to have sit-ins. And to most white people, hell, that's what it's always been, damn black people. They ain't allowed to come on. Yeah, here. That's always been. It's the same thing. They just replaced it with a new form of tyranny. Things flip-flop. People 50 years ago would never have allowed urine and blood testing to get a driver's license like Clinton wants, or thumb scanning, or all the rest of this crap, but they would allow something like that because they were used to it. Now they've used incrementalism to get us used to government. We've just replaced evils with new evils. It's really bad. Let's go to some calls. You're on the air.
Hello.
Yes.
This is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
I seem to have a handle on this local government thing all the way up through the federal government. And I was formerly of Del Valley. Now I'm part of the great city of Austin. Anyway, I just wanted, since you have an inside track on the workings of our local government.
I don't have anything. I've just read history.
I wanted to see how city services that used to cost me a certain amount have now increased 208%. I'm talking specifically about my trash pickup. Increase of 208% for worse service.
Yeah, what they do is they say we're only coming once a week, and and they're always wanting us to do the sticker thing, and you've got to put all your stuff out like this if you're good for the earth, you know. And then we subsidize some private corporation to make huge profits doing this crap. But meanwhile, there's no campaigns to stop buying vegetables grown in Mexico with DDT sprayed on them, and we're just giving our kids cancer, 50 years down the road. There's no, hey, we shouldn't be dumping toxic waste, shipping it to third world countries. So no, no, environmentalism is about getting in your pocketbook. It's not about taking care of any real environmentalism.
Well, you know, that's the funny thing about it. My older service, which was a much better service, I could have trash sticking out of the lid as long as I could stick it somehow on my trash can. They'd pick it up, and even if I had it beside the trash can, they didn't care. They picked up trash. That was their job. That's what they were paid to do, and they did a very good job at it. Now, the city, on the other hand, didn't want to give me a trash can when they said they were going to do it. And then on top of that, yeah, I have to make sure the lid's closed. I have to have these stupid orange stickers in case my bag goes over one bag, or they won't pick up that.
It's going to get worse because they have put perceived need. They've sold you that as long as it has environmentalism tagged onto it, it is holy, it is wonderful, it is to be followed. So you've got your water waster hotlines whenever we supposedly have a drought, and then we have floods. That's the way that's the way the world works. But the media is like witch doctors. There's rain in the ocean and rains. Well, read accounts. Did the volcanoes blow up in Italy and kill all those Romans at Pompeii because the Romans were bad to the environment? No, this Earth, if an asteroid hits the Earth tomorrow, was that because we were bad to the environment? It's witch doctor crap. That's how witch doctors controlled the tribe. Was they knew when the moon was going to eclipse because they had mathematics and kept it in a little secret book, and it was handed down, and the rest of the ignorant asses didn't know. He could come out and say, "You have been bad today. Moon be eaten tonight." Everyone goes, "Oh, please, you run everything. Here's all this food, a big hut for you and all the women, great witch doctor. Wonderful. Oh, yes."
Well,
Yeah,
is George Carlin
control, and when they don't get control, they say, "Oh, we'll provide you all this literature, and we'll give you a recycle bin. So if your trash doesn't fit in, you should recycle more. And if you want, we'll send an analyst out to analyze your trash, so that you can comply with our recycling."
Well, wait a minute.
Wait, let me say something. There's going to be analysts in the next 10 years if we don't turn this around that can take your home and maybe send you to a love camp.
Let me say something about that, because at my house we definitely do very conscientiously. Number one, we recycle all our plastic and our and
total diversion.
And no, relax. Well, we do recycling. You'd be amazed at how much plastic and how much paper you take out, and also your organic stuff that you need to separate and put and put back into the earth.
Buckley, I'm going to say something here. Buckley, you are involved in a ritual. My mother is involved in a ritual. If I used to recycle before it became a cult deal. I don't do it. I throw away as much as I can. I'm not going to engage in their rituals. Study human activity and human systems. Something you do over and over again that you're forced to do, humans tend to put value in, and you are engaging in a ritual. Now, if you've got a garden and you want compost, do it. But don't do it because they tell you to, because it's good.
Well, that's not the reason why I do it, and I do definitely see your point, but I still think the recycling is a good thing, and I'll leave with this one comment. I think it was a very telling thing that George Carlin once said. He said, maybe the whole reason why humans are on the earth is because for some unknown reason, the earth needs plastic.
All right, that's good. Caller, do you have any more comments real fast?
Well, yeah, it all goes back to compliance. They want us to comply. They cannot.
It's a ritual.
People. They cannot.
What's the thumb scanning about? Get you used to it. What's the urine and blood testing? Get you in the system. It talks in the, again, Federal Registry. Clinton wants to urine and blood test you. Federal Registry, July 2nd, 1997, Volume 62, number 127. Most of you probably don't even know how to go to the Federal Registry. I'll probably give you the website later. Listen to this. It talks about how to set it up and how to send them, take their license and then send them to a government psychologist or psychiatrist. It's rituals. It's sucking you into the system.
So where are you meeting next week?
I'm going to put up a comment line if you want to get more information and get in contact with some of my associates that are doing the promotion. I'm going to be the leader of this event. And then Jeff Davis is doing the tax protest. That's the 15th of April. But next Wednesday, the 25th of March, we're going down to the DPS office for a peaceful protest against thumb scanning and Clinton's planned urine and blood testing. So again, the number is 370-9558. 370-9558. Please write down that number. Please get off your butt next Wednesday, and come down to the DPS fingerprinting office, driver's license office on North Lamar. Will you be there?
I'll try. Thanks.
Do it. Do it. Break the cycle. It's not enough to just sit there and talk.
Let's talk about the parking tickets and the other tapes that we have.
Yeah, let's go. I'll talk over this. Get off your butts, folks. 370-9558. 370-9558. Call that number. Get involved. Get off your butt if you think this thumb scanning's wrong. All right. Well, I'm not sure what's going on, but take care of that. Basically, last week, we'll take down the number now. We can do that. Basically, I was down at the DPS office a couple years ago, and I'm just sick of this. And it's wrong what they're doing to people. You're innocent until proven guilty, but they're trying to train you that that's not the way it works. Then I'm down at the Commissioner's Court last week, and I had to go home and get my video camera to show you this. This is a car. Now look at that. I saw the lady putting dozens of tickets out all over the cars everywhere, and I had to come back an hour or two later, and half the cars were gone. That car is still there, and it's got about 20 more tickets on it as of today. I drove by when I was at the Commissioner's Court to see. Now notice the bureaucrat didn't go fill out a report to get that towed. They're too lazy, and the bureaucrats don't care. That shows their ineptness. They leave this derelict vehicle there. They could be getting revenue off of it. They would just tow it. It's right beside, it's one block south of the old courthouse. And there you have it. I don't know, yes, we can show. It looked like 50 to 100 tickets. I'm not really sure. Just massive stacks of them. And that's your country, my friends. That is your nation right there, right next door. They got meter maids all over the place, just infesting everything. And I'm tired of it. And they're not concerned with real criminals and real things. It's revenue generation to hire more bureaucrats to suck more off of you. And look at those other cars. There were cars all over the place. Ticket after ticket after ticket after ticket after ticket. And I got a ticket today. I wouldn't have gotten this ticket, but the sheriff's department, commander of the SWAT team, came up to me when I left the Commissioner's Court meeting today. Said he wanted to talk to me up in his office, so I obliged. Is J.P. Beck, Lieutenant SWAT, Travis County Sheriff's Office. And he'll tell you that it was Gomez's office that called the SWAT team out, and he wanted to let me know he's a good guy and that, you know, he only gave me that paper, or had one of his guys give me the paper, because, you know, tell me they'd take me to jail because they just didn't know the law, and they wanted to have it there for themselves. And I think they kind of realized it was wrong, and I'm not this vicious demon that the commissioners called and told them. And if you look at last week with the Elshire's ex-wife coming up there like a spin doctor and saying that I had Paul Hernandez on, a brown beret, was threatening to, you know, shoot people. Ladies and gentlemen, she didn't say that. She said that she'd seen judges killed and, oh, these people are scaring me or whatever. I've never met Paul Hernandez. He's never been on my program. And Elshire's ex-wife's a flat liar. And then she said that she called the SWAT team, that Gomez didn't. Well, J.B. Beck says they did. Plus, we got Marco Martinez on the answering machine saying it. Give me a break. What's our next video in there? Is it CIA?
Skull and Bones.
Oh my gosh. I've been really slow tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I only got 3 hours sleep last night because I was up late taking care of business, very important business. And then I had to get up early this morning and go down to the commissioners meeting. Also, on 3 radio stations, I've heard it on 1. On 3, I've been made fun of for talking about Skull and Bones Society. Here is some clips. First, well, I'll explain it to you. But here it is. More facts from mainstream media, and this is the watered-down version. This is the watered-down version. I am told by people that have been at top-level Freemasonry, the top 33rd degree, that has the same initiations as Skull and Bones. It consists of worshiping Satan. It consists of some other things I'm not going to discuss here. One of them saying you'll kill your family, things like this. And this is just a fact. Now, here's A&E's whitewash version of Skull and Bones, which is a elite fraternity akin to all these organizations. And they're all controlled by the same people. Let's go ahead and go to that. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
For a long time, many things I talk about, it's Alex Jones speaking, on my television and radio shows, people will say, oh, there's no such thing as black helicopters, and then the news will come out and say, yes, they're real, and you're under surveillance, and it's for your, again, same thing, it's for your best interest. These people have the same script over and over. I've told you about the Skull and Bones at Yale, very elite organization with only 15 hours a year, and almost all of them go into elite positions of banking and government. It is a fostering organization for the youth to prime them for the elitist travesties that they perpetrate upon the public, the enslavement. And on A&E, they ran a piece on it, and I actually told you some facts up front, then they started soft soaking it. I'm not going to show you the soft soak. I'm going to show you some of the actual facts that I've told you on my program, and people have rolled their eyes about it. Well, here's some documentation. I used to be a fan of the Bush family. You'll find here that for 4 generations, the Bushes have been in this organization, and many others. And again, this is a criminal consortium meeting house for the youth, later to be in the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, and yes, the Bilderbergers. These are the people that raise your taxes. These are the people that manipulate your life. These are the people that try to dumb down the public with government training centers. These are the people that are your enemies. Quit listening to their diversions and their pap. Cut through all the lies, understand who really runs the scene, and then we can start a real discussion and a debate on how to reform our nation and get it out of the treasonous waters that it is deeply immersed in at this time in 1998.
It has stood on High Street in New Haven, dark and foreboding, on the edge of the campus of Yale University. It has no windows, and its doors remain bolted to all but the initiated. It is the impenetrable command post of one of the most prestigious secret societies in the world. Its members call the building the Tomb, headquarters of Skull and Bones. Since 1832, 15 Yale juniors, men only until the 1990s, often the most impressive members of their class, are tapped to become bonesmen. Throughout their senior year, they gather on Thursday and Sunday nights at precisely 8 p.m., referred to within the organization as SBT, or Skull and Bones time. Nothing that happens behind the doors of the tomb is ever supposed to be repeated, but the members say they spend those evenings eating dinner and exchanging their true feelings about themselves and the issues of the day. Discussion holds such a central position in Bones activities that bonesmen say the number 322 on the Skull and Bones insignia refers to 322 BC, the year the Greek orator Demosthenes died. Many others claim the meetings are a boot camp for an organization that secretly controls the world's banking apparatus and its sources of political power. They also claim the skulls of Pancho Villa and Geronimo, allegedly stolen by past bonesmen, are on display in the tomb. Legend holds that all bonesmen undergo a bizarre initiation, where they lie naked in a coffin in the tomb, as they recount the intimate details of their sexual histories. The most chilling of the sagas, however, refers to the awesome power of Skull and Bones. These men, and now women, allegedly of privilege and descending from America's oldest and wealthiest families, are said to be invited to join a lifelong secret syndicate. A syndicate which many believe has engineered a criminal conspiracy among the world's most powerful elements. The alleged conspiracy would have included some of America's most influential leaders. The history of 20th century America reads like a roster of Skull and Bones. From William Howard Taft, the only man to serve as both President and Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, to financier and diplomat Averell Harriman, Time, Fortune, and Life magazine founder Henry Luce, Vietnam War architect McGeorge Bundy, and one of that war's best-known opponents, William Sloane Coffin. conservative publisher, talk show host, and novelist William F. Buckley Jr., and former President George Bush. Skull and Bones was not always so secretive. As late as the 1920s, the New York Times even reported the results of Tap Day, the day when the society chooses its new members. Not anymore. Dozens of bonesmen were contacted for this program. The rituals they performed at their tomb affected them so much that few would reveal any part of the rites.
Well, I've sat here and showed you quite a bit. You know, I was a kook. You talk about black helicopters and surveillance of your homes and the federalization of the police forces. Then the media, 60 Minutes and Lair NewsHour come out and tell you, and you say, oh, okay, maybe it's a good idea. You know, maybe fascism isn't too bad of an idea. And I've been telling you about Skull and Bones and its secret rites, and this is even a whitewash right here. And maybe now you're saying, oh, okay, well, maybe it's real, but Alex is just being, reactionary. You know, the Skull and Bones has been a symbol for thousands of years of criminality, consolidated power, force. You know, pirates use it. The Nazis wore it on their caps, the Skull and Bones symbol. It is a very occultic symbol also. Symbol of witchcraft going back thousands of years. And I'm not just pulling this out of a hat, it's a fact. So that's what you're dealing with. That's the elite organization you're dealing with. That's what's going on in our world today. These are the powerful people. This is the breeding ground for the CFR, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderbergers. And there's many other breeding grounds. This is one of the most elite. These are the people that are manipulating your lives. These are the people that are enslaving you and your children and taking away your criminal rights. And if you don't know who your enemies are, if you don't know who's really got the power, if you don't know what the real political world's like, then how are you going to be able to oppose these guys effectively and argue against their lies effectively? That's all I'm saying to you. That's all Alex Jones is sitting there talking to you about right now. I just want you to know who the establishment is and what they're doing and how you can stand up against their corruption. You've got to know who runs the show if you're going to affect any change, if we're going to have an honest debate here in this country. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. Just take a look at that. And there's much more involved in these rituals because I've studied up on it. And what they're not telling you on this program is how they desensitize people to what's going on. How they prepare the inductees to do unspeakable things. It's a test to see if they will do what it takes when the time comes to create wars, finance destruction, manipulate economies, and dumb down whole civilizations. Well, you've seen it for yourself. It's not a joke.
You've seen it for yourselves. You've seen it for yourselves, my friends. It is not a joke. Federal Register. One more time. Did you see all those elitists? And there's many more. And then they get put in the Trilateral Commission. Then they get put in the CFR. They raise your taxes. They bankrupt nations. They destroy whole societies. Because they think they're gods compared to us. They call us cattle. They laugh at you. They manipulate you with polls. They think of you as trash. I got news for them. I'm just as smart as they are, but I don't have the scum soul of the scum family. I wasn't brought up to be like that. So I won't sit here and smile at you like they do when they lead you into that. Let's use an analogy. When they lead, you're like a child, and they lead you into the back of that van with that little doll and candy. They lead you into the van. Once they've got you in the van, they rape you. They rape your psyche. They rape your soul. They destroy your country. They rationalize it, and they coat it in sweetness. I'm not going to do it. I don't like getting up here and doing this, but I'm driven. I'm far beyond driven, and I cannot stop. I cannot lay down, and I cannot continue to let their lies go on forever. Do you hear me? Look, Federal Register. I'm going to read this for the fourth time tonight. Federal Register, July 2nd, 1997, Volume 62, number 127. President Clinton, in his weekly radio address to the nation October 19th, urged stronger measures to reduce the insurgence of drugs by teens. Summary: the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announces the availability of federal funds to support the planning pre-driver license drug testing. It is not for teens. If you read in here, it's for 25% of large state populations randomly selected. Join me next Wednesday at the DPS office on North Lamar at 2:30. We're going to congregate. We're going to start protesting. We're going to go in peaceably and line up together. That's good with the music. That's good. I don't know what that means up there, but we'll take care of it. Really, that's enough, guys. That music I don't really think fits the what we're doing. But Big Leland from Big Leland's Auto Sales called me and told me about how he went in there about a month ago and they were very rude to him. He asked politely, he said, "I don't want a thumb scan. Here's my driver's license, here's my birth certificate." All of a sudden, he's a businessman, no criminal record. Hadn't even gotten a ticket in 10 years, he says. All of a sudden, 2 DPS come up behind him and slap their hands down his back real hard, clamp their hands on him and say, "Come with us." He goes with them. They sit there for 30 minutes and say, "Are you some kind of criminal?" He goes, "Here's my driver's license." They say, "Hey, you're a big guy. We don't want to have to get rough with you." He was being very calm. We're going down there together, peaceably, just to say we don't want a thumb scan and try to get our licenses renewed. I'm up for that. And even if you're not up for it, you can go down there and support us. And we're going to go down there. And they could paint us whatever they want. They could say whatever they want about us. I don't give a damn. We're going down. So that's the 25th, next Wednesday, 2:30 p.m., down there at the driver's license facility. We'll have to get in line for like an hour, so get there at 2:30. If you can't make it till 3:30 or something, show up. It'll be going. If you want to make signs up and pick at the front and pick it out on the street, go ahead and do that. And it's just important. Do whatever you want. Bring snapshot cameras. Do it. There's the comment line. One more time, 370-9558. I'm working with Jeff Davis's producer on this, and that's the comment line right there. So please, and then of course, April 15th, real April Fool's Day, we will be down at the, can I have that other piece of paper that you took with you, please? We will be down at the central, the new post office downtown. I'm not sure exactly where it is. And thank you very much. It is the April 15th, 1998, 6 p.m. downtown post office, and that is Texas for Freedom. That's me and Jeff's organization. It's just a name, a political action name. And again, that's the downtown post office. More info, same comment line, 370-9558. But definitely be down here the 25th. I mean, if we don't stop it now, we're going to be getting needles stuck in our arms. And again, let me read you the Federal Register. Clinton says his reason for doing this is they can do it under reasonable search in the procurement of individuals' blood, breath, urine, or other specimen. They got you in the habit of breath, and that sounds reasonable. Now they want blood and urine. This is the actual Federal Register, and they have a link to the Federal Register at www.Atlanta, this is one word, AtlantaInfoGuide.com. www.AtlantaInfoGuide.com. There's a bunch of stuff on the site. It has some links to the Federal Register. You'll definitely want to go to the Federal Register.
Let's see what the CIA has to say about the drug.
Yes. We've been telling you about this, and all they want to talk about is the San Jose Mercury piece, which I think is quite factual about the CIA and drugs in South Central Los Angeles. Guys, the CIA was caught in '96, and it was sealed by a federal judge in Miami. And I've had this for you the last 3 weeks. I'm not going to read it again. 22 tons of coke came in to the port there in Miami. You never heard about it on the news. It's a sealed document, CIA. Buckley, you were born, you're my cousin, you're my uncle's son. Why don't you tell us about growing up in Guatemala, just some of the things you saw? We won't talk about your father, but tell us what you saw.
Well, it's a completely different power structure, obviously. And what's interesting is that it's a lot more exposed than it is up here. Here, the skeleton has a lot of fat around it, but in smaller third world countries, it's a little bit more obvious exactly what's transpiring. And One instance in which I'd like to just sort of point out the control of the United States is that the U.S. Department of Agriculture has a program with Guatemala where, well, first let me set it up. Basically, in the late 60s, there was a big problem with fruit flies migrating from Central America and Mexico up into the United States and destroying crops.
So we had a joint deal.
Exactly, and so what they're doing now is they didn't figure out a way to maybe eradicate the fruit flies or something like that. What they did instead is they got this deal with all the countries down there, and what they do is they pay them subsidies for the money they supposedly would have made for their crops, and what they do is they fly around and they distribute sterilized fruit flies, which only have about a 3-day life expectancy, so that they can, when they mate, they don't actually have any
What does
offspring.
this have to do? I mean, I asked you about growing up in Guatemala. You saw people get shot and stuff.
Well, my point is that basically what they do is the United States pays them to not produce something. The money that they pay them does never get to the people who are actually growing it. It goes to government officials, and it's just one example of the way that the United States involvement in third world countries is absolutely corrupted.
Buckley, you're believing their line, though, about the fruit flies. I believe it's because they wanted people to stop growing vegetables and start cultivating cocaine and heroin.
Well, that certainly is an open
Because
option.
that pushes the farmers into that production. And then the drug lords, which are CIA pomps, Byzantine structure, take the drugs. And I have the documents of this.
Exactly.
The farmers get nothing for growing coca leaves and opium plants.
It's hard for them to not follow, the power structure that's been set up. And that's
Basically,
exactly
out there, get some history and you'll find out. Okay, here is the CIA Inspector General saying, we're releasing a report, and it just proves that everything's false and the CIA is wonderful. And we've changed our old thing. Used to, we didn't tattle about drug dealing. Now we are allowed to report it. Doesn't say that the agency's encouraged to report it. There's a law in there that they're allowed to report drug dealing in Central and South America. Guys, the CIA brings in the drugs. All those drug dealers you hear about, any drug dealer you hear about on the news is a drug dealer. Any cartel you hear about is a cartel that is a non-CIA cartel. You only hear about the CIA's competition.